Hello. Yes. So we are live. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's wait just a minute for our viewers.
I see we have a first fan of Radosław.
That's me.
Joanna sending love on the chat.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay. So let's start. All right. So hello, everyone. Hello again. Here we go again. Here from Krakow, from Poland, from our headquarters. Welcome to another webinar. This is our 18th webinar so far since we launched this series in 2020. And today we have a very special guest because we've invited our great colleague, Radek Kocjan, senior brand consultant at Admind. Hi, Radek. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So today we are hosting this event with Mariusz Persky. He's broadcasting from home today. Hi, Mariusz.
Hey, that's my home studio. Not so shabby. It's like nice lighting.
Very nice.
Pleasure to be here again.
All right. Thanks, Mariusz. Thanks for joining, and thanks for joining for all the viewers. I'm sure it will be very interesting today because today Radek is going to tell us a little bit more about all those differences between brand and branding, which is crucial. What is crucial if you're a graphic designer or brand manager. And Radek will also tell us about four main principles of brand design, about curation, content, community, and
Collaboration.
Okay. Radek will tell us a little bit more about it. But before we start, just like usual, Mariusz will tell you more about Admind, what we do here. So, Mariusz, please.
It's a pleasure. I just got a quote from our website because we have a new website. I don't know if you have a chance to check it. It's amazing. It's growing. There's new landing pages every now and then. So Admind is building future-proof brands with a purpose-driven strategy and world-class design. And this is like the perfect installation what we are doing, and actually what each and every company have to focus right now. So building the brand that are ready for the future, for the post-COVID future, for the metaverse future, for this what's just around the corner, and this is what we can do for your brand.
Thanks for that, Mariusz. Okay, so I think we can start, but yeah, just please remember that if you have any questions to Radek, you can write in chat box, and after this presentation there will be short Q&A session. Okay, so let's start, Radek.
Yes, please don't interrupt me when I'm showing the presentation. I just wanted to say that we have a lovely setup here, and it's like we have our own internet TV, and we're gonna talk about sports all day. So yeah, my name is Radek, and I'm a senior brand consultant for Admind. But I've been working for the last 3 years with a humongous client that we've been working with in terms of developing the brand book. So all the rules that regulate the usage of the brand, and just you can imagine that this corporation that we work with, that it hasn't stopped. So that is a humongous brand, and it has multiple touch points, and you have to coordinate every single one of them so that it gives you this sense of familiarity, or whatever, the sense of brand that you're interacting with. So yeah, I've got some experience under my belt. So, but today I'm gonna talk about the differences between the brands as entities and the act of branding itself. So I'll be mainly complaining about the modern landscape of advertising agencies, branding, studios, and so on. I think that it's not up to the challenge right now. This fragmented landscape is generating very boring brands and very boring communications. So yeah, this is gonna be very interesting, hopefully. Okay, so brand versus branding. First, let's define what brands are. And I'm gonna give you a very partial perspective of everyone, the people that work with brands on a daily basis. So this is gonna be like the piece of the puzzle. Bear in mind, because if you have, for example, a retail brand, the person that knows the brand isn't only like the CEO of the brand or the brand management or the designers. Those are also the employees. Those are also the window dressers, the stylists, everyone that is involved in progressing the brand, in recreating the brand. So in here, I'm gonna give you a partial, but I guess that it's the fullest perspective. So first, from a graphic designer's perspective, brands are symbols. And when I say symbol, I mean a gesture, an auditory stimuli, a visual. This can be a logo. So from a from a graphic designer's perspective, brands are systems of symbols, and those symbols need to be arranged in a meaningful and flexible way. So yeah, I've been working as a graphic designer for a long time, and this is how, like in short, a graphic designers perceive brands. But from a brand designer's perspective, and this is my take on the known kinds of brand designers. Like one of them is the strategist, like, oh yeah, I need to deploy this communication exactly now. The other one's the baby, always fussing. And the other one's the businessman who, yeah, always wants to upsell stuff. So from a brand designer's perspective, the brands are narratives, brands are stories. And when a graphic designer sees the brand in a very sensual way, I don't mean sensual in like, I mean that like tactile or auditory or visual, then the brand designers see brands mainly in context of culture, of internal culture, of external culture, of the processes that are happening and that will be happening. And those two perspectives are joined when you sell the brand to people. When people see the brand, they don't discern from the stories or from the symbols. Like one seamlessly flows into another. And the thing about it is that the audience, your market, will fill in the gaps whenever it is needed. For example, you don't supply the information necessary to contextualize the brand, to explain something that the brand does. And the people will either fill in the blanks themselves, or they will just, oh yeah, I don't care about this brand. This is it's not for me. So as you can see, it is crucial for us to coordinate those two those two worlds, the worlds of symbols. Again, I don't mean only like the visuals. This is like everything that the audience comes in contact with. So for example, it can be interior design in a store. It can be the whatever your employees say when they pick up the phone, or whatever. Those are symbols that kind of refer to something outside of themselves. And then again, you have this entire story world, this narrative world about what the brand does, like how can it help you, and like how does it align with your values, and how does it refer to the outside worlds, and so on and so on. Like whatever you can think of, it's there. And yeah, so the brand is on the intersection of those two worlds, and we should always be aware of that. And this presentation, I'm a bit scared that it will devolve into me complaining about the world of brands, because when you look at if the symbols dominate, you've got the Wile E. Coyote browsing the Acme catalog. It's just like it's just a bunch of symbols that are meaningless without a context, and it's just we are storytelling animals, and we tell stories, and we need stories to make sense of the world we live in, and that's just like a list of stuff, the Acme catalog. On the other hand, if the narrative dominates, it's like it's just a story that people tell to each other. There's no sensual stimuli. There's no hook that you can use to remind yourself about the brand. So now the act of branding. And by the way, I haven't. So no one has seen the presentation before, and I just realized there's some heavy stuff in it, and I hope that you won't be offended. But yeah, let's go ahead and find out. So the act of branding, like what is the praxis? What is how do we go on to design brands and brand stuff? So first, you get a designer. The designer just like comes up with a logo. Of course, first you get a bunch of strategists or market researchers if you want to spend money on this. They create personas and go through all this UX type of process to assess, like, oh yeah, what will be catchy, what people will be interested in, and whatever. So, but from a branding perspective, today it starts with the logo. The logo is like in the Big Lebowski, the rug, the thing that brings everything together. I don't know if you've seen that film. It's a nice movie. So first, the logo. And next you add the typography, some colors, imagery, because people need to, like the photo editors need to know what type of stock footage to use, and layout definition, whatever else that comes into your or the designer's minds. Like there you have it. Like you have the entire thing. You codify it in a, oh, that's in a second. You codify it in a brand book, and this brand book is like the Bible for anyone who will be working with the brand in the future, be it a visual designer or whoever. Some people even try to humanize brands by adding like values of the brand, like the entire like axiological world. So, for example, oh yeah, we believe in progress, and then they add human traits like, oh, we're optimistic, as if an abstract thing could be this, which it can't. So yeah, this is how it works from a branding perspective, from a brand designer and brand builder's perspective. You finally, the process ends with a nice style guide or a nice a brand manual that you can use to, I don't know, progress your ad campaigns or make videos or whatever. Like this is it's like this North Star that should guide whoever works with the brand. And yeah, now a tangent warning, I will be complaining. So I will tell you why this is all wrong. I just, well, according to my experience, like, and why designers are to blame. Like it's I think that it's all our fault because we have constituted the brand books as a kind of a literary genre. Like it's yeah, just like I said, the Bible, like the Ten Commandments, and people need to stick to it, and we need to maximize and prioritize coherence. But the thing is that when you prioritize coherence and when you maximize consistency, then you as a brand, you kind of fortify yourself. You stay in a place where you don't actually invite anyone else into the brand, because it's like if you still keep repeating the same phrases and the same visuals over and over again, you're never going to break through to another audience. And this is kind of why it's like creating a brand book is like a paradise for a brand designer, because brand designers exist in a world where a world of perfect ideal situations, just like this one. And I don't mean this as a metaphor. It's an analogy. Like the scene in here, it doesn't always happen. It happens once every, I don't know, couple of months, but it happens. So your brand book helps with 1% of the situations. And yeah, the 99 are you just try to improvise with whatever project that you're going on with. And why is that? So as designers, I think that we are not different to other people. We're very vain. We'd like to leave a lasting legacy, and our brand books, when they are done, they should be set in stone, and they shouldn't be touched and tampered with. This is a MC Hammer, a meme. Yes. And yeah, whatever you do with the brand book, it's there. And if you deviate from it in a minor way, you're just a criminal. Like you're a graphic design criminal, which shouldn't happen. Actually, brand books are supposed to be like this. Should show a set of guardrails for designers, not stuff that people need to like be obsessive about, because giving all those rules not only does it stifle creativity, it also, just as I said, leaves you in a precarious position where you can't communicate with anyone else, and you can't react to the changing cultural climate or whatever. But and the other thing about writing brand books that I've noticed in the last 3 years is that if you give the greatest brand book to a lousy designer or an overworked designer, or someone that just is not into the project that is supposed to be done, then that designer will definitely find a way to use it, to use the brand book in an awkward way. On the other hand, if you give a lousy brand book to a great designer, then that designer will make the project shine. And unfortunately, both options are from a brand designer's perspective not as good as they should be. Like they both stray from the brand, making the brand unrecognizable. And yeah, that's the end of tangent, end of complaining. So, oh no, that's not the end of complaining. Actually, what I wanted to say is that according to the latest research, this is pretty cool. On average, in 2020, Westerners were confronted with about 10,000 branded communications per day. Just per day. Like you get up, you brush your teeth with a branded toothpaste, and you can't even dream of brands, but this doesn't happen always. But yeah, then the entire day is filled with 10,000 attempts to talk to you through products, through, I don't know, like your work colleagues wearing branded shoes, whatever. So the thing about today and the fact that this landscape is super dense and that it is filled with the attempts to reach you makes us live in a time of unprecedented cultural waste. Just like we produce garbage on a daily basis, we produce like a ton of memes. When I say memes, I don't mean like images for Reddit, but like whatever ads, stuff that is meaningless for people and that is forgettable and that companies invest money into just to, you know, it's there one day, and just as the ink dries, it just goes away and disappears. So we should be always wary, or whatever. We should always be aware that we're living in times of this cultural waste, and what to do in order to get our messages across. Like, if branding is here to humanize commerce and transactions, you know, just so that it's not only about exchanging goods and money, or services and money, then what are we supposed to do? Yeah, and this is not what we're supposed to do. Please don't ever do this. It's like, I've seen this conference lately, and I've just been thinking about like how dystopian this message is. Never turn your customers into fanatics. Like, never. You're not a drug dealer. Just what you should do is exactly the opposite of that. So yeah, take a snapshot of this of this screen grab, and just remember, never ever brands into religions. This is I hate it. Okay, so the framework for making your brand communication relevant and meaningful. So yeah, on the one hand, you have the symbolic layer. You have the logo, you have the typography, whatever. And that's all in the brand book. But what's not in the brand book is exactly what I'm gonna show you now, and what I think should find its place in brand books. So yeah, here we go. First, the society, and the society with its overarching narratives. Like, so for example, now we've had COVID, we have global warming, we have people fearing stuff, and so I've recently read this article about why Marvel movies are so popular in like the millennial bracket, and with older people as well. So it's not because it's just a nostalgic trip to your past where you were like 12 and you've read Spider-Man or whatever. It's because it kind of takes you back to a time where the problems of today just didn't exist. Like, oh yeah, of course, we've had, sorry for this, we've had climate change, but it wasn't like, we weren't so afraid of it. Like, we've had like the chance of a virus happening to us always were there, but like nobody cared about it. So those movies, they kind of take you back, and this is a tricky way of using the whatever problems are ahead of us to sell more stuff. So think about Rafa. It's a brand that managed to convince people that well, people were already convinced that riding bikes was good, but Rafa was one of the first brands uh, to monetize this trend in a very believable way. So, for example, biking is not only good for your health, not only good for your local community because of the transportation system, it's way more agile when you ride a bike instead of a car. Yeah, it kind of helps you bring a more healthy society because of lower emissions. So what Rafa did was they took a pre-existing community because people were gonna ride their bikes regardless and build on that. So what they did was they've taken a community and help provide services to that community, and that community blew up. Like it's huge now, and everybody loves Rafa. Think about Patagonia. Everyone loves Patagonia too, because they are involved in fighting for the great outdoors, which is their well, they if there's no great outdoors, there's no Patagonia because they sell exclusively for this. Although you can see like the food court druids, people who are dressed in Patagonia gear while going to their grocery store. Allbirds. I really like this brand. It's a brand that makes shoes, and they've decided because people are gonna buy shoes anyway, right? And they thought, okay, so let's make shoes that have the lowest possible carbon footprint. Even their packaging is designed to be shipped without external packaging. Like you just ship it, you don't put it into another cardboard box. And all of those brands are great. Like they tap into culture, they tap into society's needs and expectations, and they build their markets around it. Next point is messaging. So what you should do and what you should design in advance while creating a brand is this messaging framework for times like this. Like, for example, Alexander McQueen, they've launched during the COVID. They've launched this creators initiative, and if you are into fashion and if you're into making stuff all by yourself, it's a great way to build a community around this messaging. Like, this type of communication doesn't have to be like spotless 100% branded. It just has to align with your brand's mission and values, and it has to somehow address the values and interests of your community. For example, Domestika, it is a it's an online learning platform, and when the coronavirus started, they have opened up their like they've brought down partially their paywall and allowed people to, because they knew that people will spend more time doing nothing at home or feeling lost or just feeling anxious. So what they did was they've allowed people to use their catalog, and this worked great. They during the COVID times, they grew exponentially. Also, something that I don't like, but I have to give props to is Goop. What they do, even if you don't buy their like $1,000 kettles or whatever, they have this way of creating content, of creating messages that penetrates the society. And even if you're not, even if you don't buy the products, you buy into the brand. You understand what it's about, and this content is either useful or entertaining for you. So yeah, when designing a brand, always leave a way for it to have a dialogue with its recipients. The third point, association. An association is basically connecting the dots, like and curation. Like there's this bookstore in Tokyo that sells only one book. Like this book changes every, and also they sell tote bags, as you can see in the background. So this book changes every 6 days because Mondays the bookstore is closed. But they sell a ton of books that way. Like you know that the stuff is curated and selected by people who have impeccable taste and people who know their stuff, and you know that the book that you will read will be important, that will stay with you. So that's association. That's this curation thing. I don't know if you know this web page, The Strategist from the New York Magazine. They aggregate stuff, and what this association is that your brand should associate with other brands, with other products, with other I don't know, like celebrities, people. You always should leave place for that, because then, I hate the word synergize, but you kind of join forces with other cultural phenomenons and artifacts, and just being mentioned on one list with so for example, yeah, I make sports shoes, and I'm being mentioned on the same list as Adidas. It kind of makes you, it elevates your brand. So always look for associations, and always look for the so-called curators. And just an aside, the Bombinate, which has an ad here, is also a great website that aggregates craftsmanship and crafters all over the world. So yeah, just check them out on a regular basis. I'm the least fashionable person there is, but I have to check. I have to look at those things because as brand designers, we need to be aware of what is happening with culture and where everything is going and what is popular, what trends are emerging, and this is the websites are the best to trace it. So yeah, next, the curators. Please check out Samotaro on Instagram. This is a very purposefully done curation. Like there's a ton of information about how, for example, Supreme Parrots, Kurt Cobain, or whoever. That was their latest post. Super interesting. Being a well-versed person like Samuel Troutman helps. Like he exists to just like I said, to connect the dots, to make meaningful connections between products and brands and people. Also, Chris Black, Public Announcement is a brand consultancy agency. They have like a newsletter that costs you $200 per year to join, but it's worth it. Like they penetrate the culture with open eyes. They see what's happening, and it's an expense. If you're into culture and if you're into tapping into cultural trends as brand designer, this is something that is good to start with. So finally, partnership. And this is the most optimistic image that I found on the web. Like if the bowling ball and the pin can be friends, then it means that we all can be friends, and even with our worst enemies. So what is partnership? Partnership isn't a brand extension. Like isn't like, for example, when Nike works with Jordan, Michael Jordan. So you know that they will be that they're in the same kind of category, and that the Air Jordan sub brand will be somehow coherent with Nike's aesthetics. It is about moving into a surprising direction, at moving into a category that that people wouldn't usually connect with your brand. So, for example, ABB has this collaboration with Formula E. Like ABB is a very nerdy brand. It's a very technical brand, and in order to make their technology more exciting, they ventured into the field of motorsports, and it's all about speed and excitement and precision. And so, yeah, they could do a ton of other stuff, but working with Formula E, showing the facet of the brand and what it does that can be exciting is well, it was a genius move. Now Heron Preston with what's the name of the girl? Kendall Jenner. Heron Preston is a fashion designer, and what he and Kendall Jenner did was they've released a toothpaste. Like it's a toothpaste by a fashion designer, and like what exactly are you getting while purchasing this? Like, am I into fashion, or am I into health and wellness? Am I into art? Like, you know, it's there to recontextualize your brand. It's there to show it's there to open you up to other audiences, which is very hard as for some brands, because yeah, okay, let's work with like this celebrity sportsman on isotonic drink, and it's just, well, it's boring. Well, it works, but it won't invite anyone outside of your world into it. Finally, Allbirds and Adidas. So Adidas is like the apparel juggernaut. It's a huge brand, and well, some said that in an act of greenwashing, they've invited Allbirds to collaborate on a shoe collection, and it's very interesting to see how Adidas and Allbirds lean on each other and use each other to. So, for example, Allbirds is slowly trickling into the top of mind category of people buying shoes. Like, oh yeah, they always give the brand a consideration when they are out for shoes. And also Adidas is kind of trying to push the message that yeah, we've changed. We are trying to be more sustainable. So collaboration, always leave space for collaboration, and always think about reaching out to paradoxical cultural trends and personas and celebrities or doers, makers, whoever. You will invite the people that they bring in to use your brand. So yeah, finally the conclusion, and it's this, that you've got your business interests, you got your culture interests and customer interests, and the brand exists where those three intersect, and you should always be aware of that while building brands, be it as a graphic designer or as a brand builder or as a brand manager, especially now that it's very hard to get new audiences. And yeah, I think that I've talked too long already, so thanks. Thank you. What now?
Definitely, you didn't talk too long. We have some questions on the chat, and we encourage everyone to ask more questions. So,
ask me questions.
Thank you for the great presentation. I love some of the slides. Some of them are already on the company Slack. Because they are so great. So,
yeah, amazing.
The first question is, that's true that some brands want to make a religious out of their brands, but what we as a designers can do about it, how we can kind of counteract?
That is a great question, because I have no idea how to answer it. Yeah, I'll tell you why. It's because like, if we go back to this Venn diagram, well, no, actually, I know how to answer it. Okay. You prioritize your business interests. You're cynically using people. And in the time of social media, in the time where whistleblowers exist in every corporation. So, for example, recently we had this Facebook meltdown that made people hate the company even more. Or like now when Amazon is using customers who are against the exploitation of the workforce, all of those things, they come from, just as I said, the cultural forces that shape us, and so yeah, just don't be evil. Try to communicate with other people as a human being, not as a strictly business entity. But what I predict is that those brands, the brands that kind of want to create a cult around themselves, the brands that that want to be like a cultural fetish, what they like the high fashion brands, for example. When you look at them, you learn that what they do is they that their work on the assumption of this old Veblen framework. The more expensive a product is, the more demand it creates, like the more people want it. But recently, but this is, yeah, this is partially true with a subset of people, but most people, most consumers, they think rationally, and what they did recently, what happened recently is that people began to notice that these the status signaling with, for example, I don't know, driving a Hummer or Humvee, I don't know, wearing fur coats or you know, flexing with a super expensive watch, that it's just a sign of ignorance. Like, why would you invest in a fur coat? Why would you invest in a Humvee? This is like, you're not being woke. You're just being ignorant. And yeah, so this is if you're trying to create this cult following, if you're trying to pretend that you're a religion, sooner or later you will fail as a brand, because people are rational, I believe so, and they will turn from you. Not from you, Mariusz, but from a hypothetical brand.
You mentioned the high fashion brands, but I also think that we can see really interesting things in the streetwear brands that working on the supply, like the demand supply chain by just organizing limited drops now and then. And the buzz around it is crazy. The prices that those items get on the auctions are crazy, 10 times more expensive than the initial price.
Yeah.
So is it kind of a cult or religion already, or?
I believe that it's speculation, but it's not. People do not purchase those things for their like, so that they can set up a museum or actually wear them. They kind of buy them to resell them profit in the future. What's the name of the guy? The fashion designer, I'm blanking out. The one that worked with Kanye. He died recently, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. The guy Off-White.
Off-White.
Yeah. So what he did was he purchased from Ralph Lauren. They've cost like $89 or like that. Flannel shirts, and what he did, he sold them times as with a 10 times markup, and this was fascinating because he sold all of them. Like, sure, you will always find people who want to do this, who want to purchase those things at price like these, even when like the cat got out of the bag and people knew that, oh, so what is he selling? Like, is he selling the same flannel shirt that was in the rugby collection, in the rugby collection of Ralph Lauren. But he sold them anyways, and now he's dead. But no,
I think it wasn't a reason.
yeah, I know. Those two things are not connected.
All right.
But you
We
know
have-
that if you want to create a sustainable brand, you should seriously consider thinking about culture, about cultural trends, rather than like flash in the pan fads and fashions. They will pop up anyway. But want to create a brand that will exist in the long term. It's just not a good business strategy.
All right, we have another question, and that's the interesting one as well. Do you think that brands have a soul, and will they be saved as a result?
No, I don't believe. I don't believe that brands are this platonic entities. You know, that there's this idea of Adidas or the idea of Apple up in the sky, and people who use those products, they tap into. As I said, those brands have narratives. Those brands help the narratives that they tell. They help you organize your world and navigate through it. So, for example, like you know that when you buy Nike products, you know that this is something that they've done in order to sell products. But know that they're kind of rooting for you, regardless of if you're, I don't know, like an amateur tennis player, or if you're this like high fashion football player or whoever, and also that they take political stance, like what they did recently, a couple of years ago, this Kaepernick guy. It also means that they've decided to tap into this larger cultural story, because brands are stories. Like the brands are stories we tell to each other, and the story that we tell to each other, they kind of create the culture whole. Like culture is also a story, but with millions and millions of subplots, and brands are a part of these. So no, brands don't have a soul. Next question.
Great answer. We are going deeper to the branding topic. So there's a question if there is such a thing like too much branding or over branding by pushing too much content to our customers, reloading new campaigns over and over. So can we oversaturate a brand in the long run?
Well, sure. I mean, like if you go overboard with communication, like too much of a good thing is a bad thing. That is true. But as brand designers, what we should do is we should provide multiple entry points for people into the brand. So and this isn't the same thing as generating and as like layering a brand communication, a top brand communication, like releasing a statement or an ad or whatever every 30 minutes. This is something that you do to speak to various subgroups, like various taste communities, like various subcultures, to tell them, okay, this brand is open also for you, but if you focus on just one group and you target one person, it kind of seems like Google ads, like you're being followed by by a brand that reveals itself with every new web page that you open. And yeah, then of course you're oversaturated with communication, and it is a bad thing because being annoying is
I know when I searching for the new Adidas shoes and I already bought them on some store and the other stores are still attacking me. There is one question from Natalia. How do you test your cultural hypothesis? Can you share any best practices?
Okay, so there's this entire debate about the testing with audience testing and some people say that you should test your hypotheses on at least like 100, like 100 strong group of people, or at least the people that you could reach out to, the people that could be your clients, which is good. But on the other hand, like the brand research and advertising research is exactly why advertising and branding are so bland and uninteresting and just totally boring today, because they pander to the lowest common denominator. So if just one person says, I don't get it, like what I don't understand it, then there is a high probability that that everything will be like you throw it into the and we'll have to redo everything. On the other hand, you have like this new methodologies for UX research, be it like interviews with like in-depth interviews with people, or like eye tracking or whatever. Sure, if you're creating an app, then go ahead. But if you're creating a brand, something that will be featured in many contexts of somebody's world, it's like, it's like choosing a wife. You have to imagine that person in multiple contexts of your life, not only just like, oh yeah, this is like the app on my phone and I'm use it, and I'm not gonna use it. I just won't think about it. And brands are different. Brands are something bigger.
Awesome.
Probably, yeah.
So two questions till the end from Dominic. Can human brands can be so big like Amazon or Adidas? Like, can they still be ethical and good in the way, and also grow and make a huge profit?
Well, sure. I believe that this is possible. Like, of course, whoever designs I wouldn't be in the business if I didn't believe this. Like, if I wouldn't believe that businesses can be force for good, and that capitalism is I don't know. It's like I've got a complicated relationship with capitalism, but it's a given. It's a thing that we have to take the account while doing anything. So if I wouldn't believe that we can do something good, and that even the biggest brands can be can change people's lives for the better and can change the world for the better, then I would do the presentation, because like the gist of the presentation is that the brands are they're like, yeah, they are there to cater to people's needs. That's one thing. But then again, brands today can have a positive influence over our lives because they can be there to show that exactly what the question was about is true. Like you can support yourself with something that you like to do, and also do something like give more than you take. So just think about Allbirds. They're big now, and still they're doing a lot of good.
I think Patagonia as well, right?
Yeah, and it's and this is why like these brands they have their fans, actually, not only consumers, that people that not only buy their products because they are durable or whatever, but have consumers that purchase the things because and they buy into the whole. It's not that the brand creates like this entire moral world of choices. That it's that they identify these territories and settle them. So this is how it works. Thanks for the question. That was a good one.
Yeah. So one of the last questions, because they are still coming here. So how to be morally ethical brand designers in your world, in your words?
Once again, I don't
how to be morally ethical brand designer.
How to be a more yeah, it's super important. I mean, having an ethos is something that my generation, the millennial generation, looks for when choosing the career that we will have. And I believe so. For example, like I believe that you can be a designer that is fully ethical and fully moral, even religious, whatever. If you work for Google, Facebook, whatever, like just be that person who says, yeah, perhaps we shouldn't use the dark pattern in here. So perhaps we shouldn't sell the ads that we're selling to anti-vaxxers or whoever, or sell political ads during like aggressive political ads during or polarizing content during political campaigns. And yeah, just be that person, and people will respect you for that. And yeah, of course, in some instances, you could get into trouble, but as someone who employed people myself some time ago, I pretty much preferred like people who would speak their minds instead of like being obedient, because this is what the client pays me for. Like if I see something that's not right, then it's my duty. This is what I take money for. This is my duty to say, well, wait, who are we gonna bomb? So yeah, the same. There was this thing in Google that there are mass protests by employees when they've learned that they were building an AI for unmanned missile drones. And some people just got up and said, we're not going to participate in this. And a huge military contract that Google had was torn up. Of course, they had other military contracts, but yeah, the story kind of makes me feel optimistic about it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions and a lot of good one. So coming back to your presentation, that brand books are set in stone, as you show on the really nice visual. So what about adjusting the, for example, tone of voice to the current circumstances, to the current situation, like lockdown, or lots of brands need to change their narrative at this special moments? How often brands should reconsider this approach? How often they should change to the circumstances?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because sometimes like the zeitgeist and whatever culture that we're submerged in changes so quickly that we don't even know that that something has changed and that we're missing something. Just like being a thoughtful human being and thinking about your work as something that should help others, because as designers we kind of this is what we do. We solve people's problems through technology and through thinking. So what I'm trying to say is that, what am I trying to say? Yeah, I think that you should be thoughtful and reconsider things every, like if just one person objects to something, then you should react to it. Like if one person starts doubting or thinks that some communication that you send out is insensitive or polarizing or is not helpful, then you shouldn't stick to your guns. Like your users and your clients, they are your like calculators. They're outside thinking machines that do a lot of thinking for you, and just tap into that. I know that this is kind of a cynical way of thinking about it, but perhaps this way of putting things will give you a rationale to act. Besides, I think that it's good to change every now and then. Like you should seriously, you should get back to your brand book every couple of months, because technologies are changing, the trends are changing. So, for example, like some time ago, we've worked for this animation revamp for a client, and it was like a very big project that, and a lot of people contributed to it, because like every voice was very valuable from a designer's perspective. Like the more people have their say, the better. Of course, like some of the voices you'll have to ignore because you can't. Just as I said in the research to the research question, like you can't you can't do the common denominator brand, because then it will be super boring and uninteresting. But yeah, you should listen to people and not laugh at them when they criticize you for something. Just yeah, you can laugh at them, but not in a professional way.
So treat the brand book in the way like the guidance and the living organism to adjust it to the current situation.
Yeah. So for example, in screenwriting, when when people work for like shows that have seasons after seasons after seasons, like telenovelas or whatever. Those shows, they have their so-called Bibles, and those Bibles are there to kind of give you some background as for the characters, some backgrounds as for how the world works in the show, like what the show is trying to say, and yeah. So if you want to stray from that show Bible, then you will probably be shut down, because those are like stories that like the drama between characters has been, so yeah, that person doesn't like, I don't know, that kind of person, and they clash constantly, and she hates her mother-in-law and whatever. So yeah, in screenwriting, the Bible is more important than the brand book in brand design, because yeah, I should be nimble. You should change fast, and you should be flexible. So getting back to your brand book every couple of months, it's a good practice.
All right, thank you for the answer. We run a bit out of time, and I just have a last question, and then we'll like slowly finish. So there is too much of everything in the current world, and there's also too much branding. I think we can especially see this on the streets of Polish cities. So how and where to build a world without brands? That's the question from one of our viewers.
I don't really think that the world is possible without brands right now. Like so, like in their history, big brands have been invented, and branding has been invented to sell commodities across huge areas of land. And it's not a coincidence that most of the branding constituted itself when like in the 18th and 19th century in the United States, when the railroad system was being developed, because then, like before that, you didn't actually need to invest in a brand. You had your local products, you had your local like whiskey or whatever, but then to identify stuff that would be normally alien to you, and normally you wouldn't even consider using it, brands have been in, like, but yeah, they've been used before, but then they've really caught on. And I think that when we think about people, we tend to forget that we are social creatures, and that we like to compare ourselves against other people, and that using brands is all like a part of a social camouflage of a sort. Like you're associating yourself with the brands, just like you associate yourself with cultural stuff, like your favorite movie director, your favorite author or whatever. And there's also this thing, the status signaling, like you if you're like dressed from head to toes in Dolce and Gabbana or whatever, you know, huge logos and so on, you are signaling your status somehow. Of course, you are misguided, because just as I said, like this Veblen model and this Veblen logic isn't valid anymore. Like if I would dress in Dolce and Gabbana, like hat and a t-shirt and whatever, and I would like flex it to the camera, then I'd be a fool. or I would do it ironically. Yeah, but yeah, I don't really believe that. I mean, why would you want to live without brands? Like, why? Like, brands are fun. I know that most of them are there to suck the money out of you and just use you as a vector for, like, yeah, make your clients your ambassadors or whatever. But they're kind of like a nice thing to contemplate on your commute. Besides, you always need shoes, and you always want to dress a bit differently. Like, I don't wear like white shirts. Yeah, Klimo doesn't like hairy sweaters. So brands are there to make a distinction between us and others, just like us.
That's the perfect answer. Thank you for all the questions, and thank you for this really long Q&A session. Back to you, Klimo.
Now we're gonna record our rap album in here. I'm gonna be spitting some hot rhymes.
And I just wanted to thank you all for being with us. Thanks for such a great questions. And Radek, thank you very much for being with us, for a great presentation and all those answers. And I can wait to invite you once again.
I just realized that I've been talking for an hour and a half, and I'm sorry for this.
Don't be sorry. Guys, so thanks. Please follow us, follow our social media channels, and don't miss a next webinar that will be next month. And yeah, thanks for that. Thank you, Mariusz. Thank you all, and see you next time, and have a great evening.
Oh, I just want to say thanks to my team, to Anya, Kamil, Sylvia, and Suska, who I was supposed to, whose photos I was supposed to put into my presentation, but I forgot. Sorry for this. I love you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.